Hey, good morning. Jesus is Lord. Good news, the word still works. And we just got to stick with it, work it a little bit. Now, there's a verse over here in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, that sometimes we as believers, we really don't want to hear it. So I'm going to read it to you, but then I'm going to turn it around for good. And let us not be weary in well-doing. Verse on 2 pages. Let us not be weary in well-doing. For in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Well, so a lot of times we center in on don't be weary in well-doing and don't give up and hang in there, baby. And that's all true. We have to do that part, not to be weary in the well-doing. I mean, we prayed and we believed God and circumstances don't seem to be lining up the way we want to. Well, we don't just give it up. Pat and I got back a little while ago. We went to Oxford, Alabama, 45 minutes away from here, I guess. I didn't get nearly there and say, well, I don't think the car is going to get us there. No, I stuck with it until I got all the way to the place that I wanted to go. I didn't get nearly there and cast my confidence away and say, well, it's drizzling rain here today, and it was. And so I guess maybe it's not the will of God for me to go to that store and do that. And then after we went and did that, I was always, when we go close to there, Pat likes to go shopping at Dillard. So we went down the road and I went to Dillard. She said, oh, thank you, hon. And she hadn't even gotten out of the car yet. Oh, thank you. I said, well, I know you like that. So I didn't get weary when I got almost there and say, well, I just give up and we're not going today. No, you stick with it. Now, you do that in everyday life. A farmer goes out and plants his seed, and he doesn't go out there after, a week or two and say, well, I don't got no harvest. I guess God didn't want me to harvest this year. No, he plants the seed knowing that the seed that he planted is going to spring and grow up, according to Mark chapter 4. He knoweth not how, but he knows that seed is going to plant seed, and he doesn't go out there and get frustrated and say, it don't look like I'm going to have no cotton. No, he knows if he planted cotton seed, that given a little time for it to grow, and, a little rain, a little sun, and, a couple of months down the road, he's going to get him a harvest. So we don't just throw away our confidence and give it up because we're having a hard time. Let's look at the positive side of this. Let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season you shall reap. Didn't say you might reap. Didn't say you might not reap. Said you shall reap. I like the reaping time. I like it when we have miracles. I've been believing God for some things, for one particular thing, for about 25 years. But I'm not going to throw away my confidence now. I'm closer today than I was yesterday. Like somebody said, well, I prayed and it didn't happen. Well, hang in there, baby. It's going to happen for you in due season, and I believe this is due season. For in due season, you shall reap. Hey, there's no 50-50 chance about this. If you prayed and you believed when you prayed, then Jesus said, what things soever you desire when you pray, believe that you received them, and them things that you believed that you received when you prayed, you shall have. Okay, so it takes a little while. Well, if it was worth praying for, it's certainly worth standing for it. Just like a farmer when he plants that crop, he starts talking about the harvest. I was talking to a good friend of mine, lives in Michigan now, used to live in Indiana, but he moved just right across the state line there, in just a few miles, really. And he said that his daddy and he had a garden, had a little farm. And he said, I still remember, we're talking 35, 40 years ago maybe. He said, I remember, he said, we're going to rent this little plot over here and we're going to plant a crop and it's going to be our new pickup truck crop. And he said, we planted that thing and I think it was 50 acres, might have been a little less. And he said, all we talked about for the next 3 or 4 months was that new pickup truck. Because we knew that we had planted the seed, and so we were going to have the harvest and have that extra money to buy that new pickup truck. He said we talked about it every day, and we'd watch that, that field grow. I believe it was corn, I'm not sure. He said we'd watch that thing grow, and Dad would talk to me. He said, that's our pickup truck crop. And he said, I remember talking about it waiting a couple of months, and he said, I remember the day that we went out and harvested that crop, sold that crop, and had enough cash money, and we went down and paid cash for a new pickup truck. Well, if you can do that with a regular old corn crop, you can certainly do that with a crop of the Word of God. You can plant the seed of the Word of God and know that if you just give it a little bit of time, it's going to grow. Don't cast away your confidence now, and don't nearly get there and quit. Dear Lord, watch this now. For you it is due season, and in due season you shall reap, if you faint not. You're strong in the Lord. I'm going to prophesy that, and I don't consider myself a prophet, but I say that you're strong in the Lord. I say that you got strength to stand in spite of what it looks like. Maybe you had a terrible thing take place today. It has nothing to do with you harvesting your crop. So until I'm with you tomorrow, saints, remember all day, don't give up. Don't be weary in well-doing. Having done all stand, for in due season you shall reap, if you faint not. So until I'm with you tomorrow, remember Jesus is Lord. And yes, always the Word works.